everyone. Hi. We are back. And this time I'm here with some more beautiful faces. As you know, my name is Mololua, so I'm not gonna bore you about myself. More importantly and more excitingly, I have two amazing guys here with me. I will probably let them introduce themselves. So let's start with ladies first. What's your name? I don't know. You can tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't know.
Okay. My name is Alicia. What's to know? I mean, I started CH in sixth form. That's how I met Nonso and one else. I found Christ in lockdown. I've always been a Christian, but in terms of finding him myself, I'd say lockdown. And since then, it's been an interesting journey. Let me just say that. First, trying to be so easygoing, like, oh my gosh, I found Jesus, I found the light. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that I found God, but there's been, let's just say, but nevertheless, I'm just grateful that I've got the opportunity to even speak here now, and amazing people along the way.
That's so amazing. Nice to meet you, Alicia. The man in our midst. Hello.
Hi, my name is Nonso. Obviously, I met Belicia through sixth form. I've known Melos for quite a while. I'd say I'm still very much on my journey in Christianity. I'd say I'm a bit more new to it than Belicia. So yeah, I'm just taking each day at a time, trying to draw closer to God.
Love that. So we're going to jump straight into it today. And today we're going to be talking about this topic. Everybody, oh my God, everybody and relationships is just like, and Christians really know how to take this topic to a different level, different dimension. Like, so I'm interested in seeing how Gen Z Christians think about relationships. So I'm going to ask you guys, random but related. You know how there was a time where there was a list of icks going around on social media? I think it was Twitter dominantly, of like just the most random things that mainly girls would say that was an ick for them in guys. So like a guy that eats biscuit or a guy that like uses an umbrella. It's just like, okay, sis. So just like informally, just to hear you guys' own unreasonable views, because icks are just unreasonable. Let's just establish that. Even me, I have my own. So do you guys want to share maybe your top ick in, well, Belicia in a guy and Nonso your top ick in a girl?
Oh, I'm happy that you said unreasonable, because it really is. But man, this is so silly. Is when I see a guy's ankles, like, when they wear them like small socks, them like ankle socks, and then they wear them trousers where like, why can I see your ankle? I don't know, that for me.
You don't like seeing ankles. Fair enough. Unreasonable. Good.
It's also obviously, like we said, it's unreasonable and it's mad. It's random, but I saw it once and it just icked me out. It's seeing a girl going up the stairs, but she's jumping two at a time. I don't know. Obviously, it's unreasonable, isn't it? But like, I don't know. That was just.
I feel attacked. But anyway. So icks are obviously, for people, anyone that doesn't know, by the way, okay, an ick is something that you see in the opposite sex that you just can't, like, how do I even put this? You can't take it.
You can't unsee it.
Yeah, you can't unsee it. It makes you cringe, and it might not even be a thing that has to make you cringe or should make you cringe, but it just does. So we know generally that our interaction with the opposite gender it's just something we can't really get around or get past. Now, as Christians, I don't know if that, if accepting Christ changes a lot in that space. So I suppose maybe my first question is, I don't know, like, for the longest time, what would you say that your like concept of relationships was, and has it changed since you decided to take your faith more seriously?
I'd say it was a lot more like, I don't even know if I was really being serious with this or not, but I'd have like a list of things that I wanted in a guy. Like, he has to be this height, he has to look like this, he has to have locks, everything. Like, I guess more physical, I'd say. But ever since getting to know Christ and reading my Bible and everything, I've realized I can't like create a man and put everything in this small specific box. If God has created someone for me and I'm now closing my eyes to it, if this guy now approaches me and I'm like, nah, he doesn't have locks, I can't take him back. That's a man that God wants me to be with. So I've tried not to be so specific in terms of like appearances, if that makes sense. And yeah, was it hard? Maybe. But I'd say I think that's the way God would want it to be. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
Okay, so you're saying effectively that it went from being a very physical concept in your mind, or in terms of who you would be in a relationship with, to one where you're now thinking, okay, maybe there's more. That's what I hear saying. Okay, Nonsa, how about you? Were there any?
I'd definitely say before it was definitely a lot more service level. Like I saw it more as like a lovey-dovey, like I'd look at the person you like them, they like you type of thing. And I'd just say the main thing that changes just intentions. I'd say obviously a big thing was realizing that obviously you're meant to grow together, you're meant to encourage each other's faith. So probably that's the biggest change.
And generally, would you say that like your opinions and your points of view are like the general opinions of at least people in your like sphere of influence or your circle? Or do you think that there is an opinion that's widely held that is not necessarily in line with the opinion that you now hold?
I'd say type of generation we're in, very materialistic, very physical. So I'd definitely say in terms of relationship, the main thing you see would be like, oh, girls say I want a 6 foot plus guy making this amount or whatever. And guys be like, I want a girl to look a certain type of way or be from a certain country or have a certain complexion. And I'd definitely say that's like a big theme in our generation.
Would you agree with that, Belicia? Is that
Definitely. I say also, people aren't thinking for the long term as well. Like I say, even quite a few of my friends, like people that I just talk to, is more of a here and now because trust issues or just want to have fun. But when you're a Christian, it's more of, like Nonso said, like thinking for the long term, wanting to settle down, grow together. But a lot of people, it's now changing to a thing where it's like, I trusted one person, I can't trust them again, so I'd rather have fun for the moment. Which I think is, yeah, just different. Yeah.
interesting? So there's two things that you both spoke about there that I want to touch on a little bit. You spoke about there being an emphasis rather on the physical. As Christians, is that something that we shouldn't partake in? Like, should the physical not really inform our idea of relationships? Is that not an important thing?
The kind of physical, I think that's a big thing. Like obviously,
Okay.
you want them to not necessarily look a certain type of way, but you know, like certain levels of respect they have for themselves, things like that. And obviously, I'd say there needs to be a physical attraction to the person, but I don't think it should be the main, like the biggest factor. I think that's the difference.
So you're talking about where it is on the list of priorities. Okay, not the fact that it's there at all.
Yeah.
Okay, Melissa, what do you think in terms of what should our interaction be with physical attraction as Christians, or should there not be any at all?
No, I think there definitely should be.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just similar to what Nonso said, it's more about where you place it. It shouldn't be physical attraction that like makes you want to be with someone completely, because then you could like go over the board of like lust and things like that. So it's definitely about getting to know someone, but I do think attraction should be there. It shouldn't be the main factor for why you're getting to know someone, I'd say.
I think I agree with you guys. I think what it is that love equals physical attraction in this day and age. Like that is what we've, defined love as in its entirety. Whereas I do think there is a part for physical attraction to play in love or in helping keeping the feeling of love. Let's be more specific, but it's not the whole thing. And even as Christians, I suppose we even have a clear definition of what we should see love to be. And 1 Corinthians 13 is just so clear, like it's not ambiguous. And there is literally a list. So like it's like you can literally go there and like check it off kind of thing. So I feel like, let's even go through it together. So I think it's 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4, right? 4 till I think it's about 8. So I'm going to read through and I want you guys to tell me at the end if you can think of anyone in your life. I don't know if you guys are in a relationship, but if you can think of anyone in your life that you can tick 80% of these things off for. Okay, ready? So 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4 says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Let's keep that there. And bruh, even I'm like, do I even pass that test? Not to talk of expecting someone else to. I don't know. So like, is that not a high standard?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Even when I was reading it, like you said, I was thinking, do I even follow this audit like myself? I don't know. I've heard the scripture before, but with the question you asked, I'm struggling to think about it.
I think that's a very like obviously that's like the love that you attain to have, but I think being
No, so
human,
that's goals. That's not reality.
obviously being humans, we're trying to reach. I wouldn't say we're there yet. I think I don't know. I'm not sure about that one, to be honest.
So do you feel like it's possible? Like in you, like I said, I don't know if you guys are in relationships, but if you are, or even if you're not, whatever, do you think it's possible to kind of build this kind of love with somebody? Like,
I don't know. I feel like, sorry, not to know you
come on,
guys.
Felicia.
You can go, Melissa. Yeah.
It's the word always and never kind of gets me, because there will be some times where I don't feel hopeful. There will be some times where I lose sight of what I'm here to do. Like, so I don't know if I can. I guess we can strive towards it, but to fully embody that, I don't know. I don't think that there will ever be a time like just for that I would get to a point where I'm always hopeful. Like from that moment onwards, I'm always going to be hopeful. But maybe I'm just being pessimistic. But just in general, I know that life throws us like trials and tribulations. So I don't know how you can stay persistent through it all, like hopeful through it all. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear it. And to be honest, this is the real, like, and this is good because people, like, we just want to keep it real so people aren't sat there reading their Bible thinking they're absolute failures kind of thing. Because I don't know, Nonso, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely say that. I feel like that type of love is just a different level. That's like obviously that's like Jesus, God love. Like I don't know if that's humanly possible in a relationship. I think what Melissa said is right. Like so obviously you want to have like some type of basis of that with a person. You just want to grow and like keep like getting as close and close as possible to attain that type of love. Obviously, I don't know if you can reach it, but obviously it's a work in progress.
So what to you guys then are the principles that you would say should underlie, let's talk romantic relationships first. We've said that these ones seem lofty. So in your daily life now, what do you think is the minimum, is the bare minimum that you feel like, okay, based on the decision that I've made, accepting Jesus as my personal savior, what are the foundational principles that you think must at least be present in a romantic relationship, as you know, in where you are now in life? Monte, do you want to start?
Okay, I can start. Obviously, I'd say you want someone who, knows God, has accepted God. I'd say for me, they don't necessarily have to be the furthest way along the journey because I'd say I'm not that far into it, but I'd say at least like they're working towards that salvation or they have it, and they obviously actually want to progress as a Christian, and they're not like lukewarm. I'd say.
What about you, Belisil? Any foundational principles?
Yeah, I'd say definitely someone who is striving to continue to build their relationship with God. I remember, I think I saw this on TikTok, but there was this image and it was like a triangle, and it was like you, the person that you're with, and then at the top of the triangle is God. And it's like, as you both try to get closer to God, you get closer to each other. And I remember just seeing that and thinking, like,
Mm,
so beautiful, because God is the biggest example of what love is. So the more you strive to get to know Him more, the more you'll be able to show that love to the other person. And I think that will help in a lot of situations where it's like, is this person the right one for me? Because they should be able to show, or not completely, but like resemble that love as
mm,
shown in Corinthians as well. So definitely someone who is in line with God and is just working towards that so we can help each other as
mm,
well. I say that's important.
so good. I really love what you both have said. And before I forget, there was another thing you both mentioned that I wanted to pick up on, which is sort of talking about the longevity of relationships and how currently they're very short-sighted, should I say. Based on, where you guys are in life though, how do you feel like your age interacts with being a Christian and being in a relationship? Because if we're talking about long term, I'm just wondering if I'm just wondering where you'd need to be in life to be able to start to be thinking that far ahead, or how sustainable relationships are when you're at a young age, and how you're able to withstand, I don't know, or you're able to scale through whatever the many years ahead bring before you can sort of, arrive at that long term place. So I guess my question is, how do you guys feel like being the age you are, being Christians, interact with being in a relationship, and what you think relationships should be in terms of how we have been called to live our lives?
I think it's definitely hard. And I'd say for me personally, I'd know that right now just isn't the time that I should be like get into a relationship, because I've got so much work that I need to do with myself to grow myself with God as well before I start thinking about another person. I think I don't know if this is like a stereotype or just things that have been said, but to do with like Christians getting married like really soon, or like as soon as they meet someone, it's like, oh, straight, like let me get married to them. Um, and I don't know if that's because of that thing that we were saying about like working together with someone in a relationship to get to a point of marriage. And it's like, okay, we found each other, we're both Christian, we tick the boxes, let's get married straight away. Um, I think it's, I don't know. I think it's a hard one because that's what we're meant to strive to. But I feel like in a lot of situations, it may be rushed when
Mm,
people should take time to just get to know themselves and allow God to work on them separately. So then when the other person comes, it's like you're a bit more refined,
mm.
and both like struggling through the mud to try and like, oh, of course you still got God, but like both struggling together. And yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like I kind of waffled a bit, but
No, it
yeah.
does make sense. It does make sense. Tonto, do you want to, you know, add
Yeah.
anything?
I'd say it's Belicia's right. It's definitely hard. I think the theme with our generation, I'd say, yeah, there's definitely a lot more young marriages, but I do see like once in a while TikTok or something that like it'll be like a couple in a relationship and it'll be like them like doing Bible studies together, praying for each other, things like that. So I feel like it's hard, but it's not impossible.
I mean, I think what I'm trying to drive at is, in my opinion, like Belicia said, the main um Christian relationship, or the only, in my opinion, Christian relationship that is deemed legitimate is marriage. And so I suppose when people are in relationships, it's like as soon as a Christian is in a relationship, they are thinking about like marriage. And I just don't know if that takes away from what dating is meant to be. I understand that we're Christians, but I'm just asking. I suppose I'm not even necessarily saying anything, but I'm asking whether the way, in my opinion, Christian dating seems to work is the way it's meant to work, in that it seems just like, okay, cool, we're dating to marry. Do you guys believe in the concepts of dating to marry? Do you think it's biblical? Do you think it's what we should be doing as Christians? Or do you think that there is more?
I think in terms of relationships, definitely dating to marry is what we should be doing.
Okay.
However, I think in a relationship, there's still yourselves as individuals, and you've also got to work on that. So it's not just I found someone now, let's get married in the next year. What do you want to achieve in the next year as well? Are you trying to start up a business? Are you trying to get into this certain job? Like, don't forget about timescales just because you've got into a relationship. And so what I'm trying to say is, I feel like at our age, there's a lot to consider. Like, we're trying to get jobs, I don't know, in the future, like get housing, stuff like that. These are important things as well. So it shouldn't be a thing where it's like, oh, you've got into a relationship, forget all of those other priorities, let's get married. Marriage is even, it costs so much money to get married as well. Like, so I think it's still about thinking about everything else aside from the relationship before you now say, okay, marriage is what we're gonna do in the next year. Like, think it all out.
So do you want to say anything? Do you have any different thoughts about dating to marry?
I was just saying, I think the concept is a like good thing. Like, I understand this. Like, there's there's no wasting time. Basically, there's no need for unnecessary relationship, things like that. But I do think it comes with its own issues because obviously, like Belicia said, sometimes people lose sight of like their personal goals, and I just think it's very idealistic. And obviously, we're not in an idealistic world, so things
So
are.
basically, let me put it bluntly. At your age, I'm guessing you guys aren't planning to get married soon. So how do you feel like being in a relationship facilitates you being a Christian, especially in light of temptation? If you're with somebody that well, I personally think you shouldn't be in a relationship with someone you're not attracted to, Sha, but maybe that's a good conversation for another day. But you're in a relationship with someone that you're attracted to, you're 18, you're a Christian. Is that practical?
You can build each other up. You still can. I'd say at least you know this person is gonna be there. They're not going anywhere. So when you now are ready for marriage, they should. Actually, I don't know.
Because my thing is the road to, and everything that can involve, and whether it's even just sustainable for you. So even just talking from the like temptation angle alone, whether it's sustainable for you to be with somebody for however many years between when you get together at 18 or whatever to when you get married and not be tempted to sin. Is that practical? Like, are we not putting ourselves in the lion's den here?
I think, yeah, but at the same time, it's like at some point you're going to be in a situation where you've got a girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, and you're not married. You're working towards it. I feel like obviously we're younger, yeah, but I don't think age is necessarily the determining factor. I think it's more to do with who you are as a person and knowing yourself. I feel like you can have like someone can be well deep rooted in God at 18 and have enough restraint that like they could go the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years and
Ooh.
the temptation's there. So and you don't put time on it. You don't put, and the temptation's there, but they don't act on it. So I feel like
I'm sorry. By the time you're 10 years in a relationship, you're married. I'm so sorry. That's what do you mean? 10 years?
Yeah. Just
you know what that means? You're in primary school, bro. You're in almost going to secondary school. You're writing 11 plus. Your relationship is writing 11 plus. Are you joking? What?
At that point, I'm sorry, is a no. 10 years.
What?
I was just saying, there's obviously it's not exactly 10 years. I was just giving an example.
Fair enough. I understand what you mean though, because you're kind of saying it's about the people.
Yeah.
And not necessarily about the age. Do you want to add anything to that, Melissa? Do you agree or do you disagree actually? Because I'm still like, is it practical? Like, let's keep it real.
I think people do it. So there has to be some sort of practicality in it. It's not unheard of to hear of people who like are in a relationship and wait till marriage and then get married. Oh, wait till marriage and then get married.
Yeah.
If it happens, then it's practical. Like I think it is, but I think, like Nonso says, it depends on the person. Also, you gotta have certain boundaries. Some people, like, I don't know, lust may not be something that they struggle with, or that form of temptation. It could be other things. It could be drugs. It could be completely different. So
True.
some people could even deal with. I've heard of situations where they live together for a bit before they get married. Some people can even deal with that, and other people is like, you got to keep a certain distance or whatever. So it's about building boundaries with the person and letting them know. And I think if it's a godly relationship, you should be able to let each other know, like, okay, like let's go home, or let's. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's why it's important that it's godly, so you're both on the same page, and it's not like the other person trying to push you into like having sex before marriage. That's why, remember when you asked about it, the foundation, it being a Christ relationship, that has to be the foundation of it all. If not, I don't see it working. I see one person like dragging the other person.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think what you say about boundaries is key. And to be fair, maybe it speaks to Nonto's point even, where it's like, temptation, I mean, lust is not the only type of temptation out there. So if people are dealing with other forms of temptation in their daily lives anyway, why are we magnifying lust so much? Like, oh my God, are you sure you guys can handle this? Whereas like people have drug addictions all the time, and they need to be in a position where they've instilled boundaries so that they can see their lives through. So similar, I suppose, relationships, boundaries too. So I suppose maybe what we're saying is we shouldn't put too much of a spotlight on the temptation within a relationship as though it's, like impractical to work around, just as there are other things and temptations in our lives as individuals that we have to be conscious about working on, like in our daily lives. So that's a really good point. I like that one. And that was kind of collaborative between the two of you. So just to kind of close, I want us to go back to that 1 Corinthians 13. And I want you to think about one thing that you feel like you can apply, maybe improve. I don't know. If you don't have it at all, you can improve. Or if you have it, something you can apply a bit better in your current relationships, whether that's romantic or otherwise. And I'm going to read it one more time. And I want you to tell me what it is that sticks out to you. They think, okay, this one has Belicia written all over it. Or this one, Nonso, just catch your shade and do something about it. So I'm going to read it, and then I want you to tell me what that is and how that will look like, or how that could look like in your life if you applied it. Okay, so I'm going to read it one more time from the New King James Version, and it's 1 Corinthians 13 verses 4-7. It says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It's not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things.
I'd say the seek its own, or like the one on his, like demand its own way. I'd say sometimes you forget that like it's a two-way thing, so the other person has feelings, thoughts, and like they think of things differently. So maybe taking a step back and thinking, okay, if I'm the other person, how would I feel like or think like? I definitely say that's something I could work on.
Melissa, how about you? Like I say, it's not exclusive to romantic relationships.
I'd say the verse about keeping the records of wrongdoings. I think this is a whole other topic, but just in terms of like, we're told to forgive, so we don't hold grudges, whatever. But just because you're forgiven, now where's that person placed in your life? Like, did we claim the spot back again? And it's like, you did wrong, but I say, I forgive you. Are they now still in that same spot that they were before, or is it like, I've forgiven you, but I'm gonna keep you at a distance? But does that mean I've forgiven you, or am I still onto it? It's something that I've struggled to navigate for quite a while. But it says keep no records of it, so I just don't know how you practice that and what that looks like. But yeah,
that's one like you say, that's the whole topic of its own, because forgiveness is
there's a lot to unpack.
It is a lot to unpack. And I think, again, another thing I'm going to stress and highlight is that I love how this is birthing questions that don't necessarily have answers, because that is our reality as young Christians, honestly. And it's just good to show that we don't have all the answers, and that is actually okay, because that means that there's something for us to discover and there's something for us to work towards. So yeah, I think that's brought us to a very like nice and realistic, close. And you guys have really brought your like different views and perspectives, although sometimes, overlapping, which I think has been really sort of interesting to hear about. I don't know. I feel like the people watching should also share if there are things that we've spoken about that you can identify with, relate with, or maybe there are things that maybe questions we've asked we don't necessarily have answers to that you might have some answers to. I feel like it'd be really nice just to read from you and to have you share as well, just like these guys have shared. And I also just want to appreciate you both for just being honest and just being like having a chat with me. Do you know what I mean? It's been nice. And yeah, I thank you both so much for your time, and I suppose this is a good time to call it a day or a night whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you next time. Take care.